Again, my apologies for butchering your name. I could say it off air, but once I got on air, I'm battling with it. But on a serious note, Advocate, it was the German Foreign Minister, Heiko Maas, who a few days ago used the word genocide in a way that's significant, but it seems it doesn't go far enough. What's the sentiment in Namibia about the acknowledgement that Germany committed genocide in Namibia all those years ago?
See, Thulani, what the German foreign minister did, or rather what the country did in the past week, gives rise to three things. The immediate one is what you noted yourself, that the package, the financial aid, which was your word, was rejected by both the Herero and the Nama people, their leadership. But it is significant that Germany has eventually come around now and is calling what happened between 1904 and 1907 in Namibia a genocide. I think it is quite interesting, the volte-face, because for the past couple of years, the Herero and Nama people were embroiled in court, seeking at the very least an acknowledgement from Germany that what happened in Namibia was a genocide. The German government argued it wasn't. They argued that at the time there was no crime called genocide. So they committed no such crime, therefore. So the development is quite interesting, that it is now being called a genocide, and rightly so. Now, the second issue that is being given rise to is once it is accepted by the Germans that they committed a genocide, they ought to repair that which they have broken, and that would be in the form of reparations. And that has not happened. It's unclear when such an enterprise would be embarked on. The foreign minister of Germany used the language of reconciliation, and so too various other pockets. But the difficulty with that is reconciliation, Thulani, cannot be a one-way avenue. Germany missed an opportunity to engage directly with the victims of the genocide, being the Herero and the Nama peoples. Germany departed from an undertaking in 2006 that it would negotiate directly with the victims of the genocide, being the Herero and the Nama people, and that the Namibian government would play the role of a mediator. That did not happen. What happened instead was the so-called agreement that is being entered into between Namibia and Germany, in terms of which monies is being paid to Namibia. It's called the development monies. It's unclear what all that means. Importantly, the people themselves, the Herero and the Nama people, have not seen this document, Thulani. So it's unclear what even its terms are.
So to what extent is the frustration of the Herero and Nama people directed at the Namibian government and their participation in this agreement that, you know, from what you're describing, doesn't go far enough?
Sure. So the frustration is in equal measure towards the Namibian government as well as towards the German government. I want to talk about the Namibian government for a little bit. In 2006, a resolution was adopted in the Namibian parliament which said exactly what I said earlier, that the government would take on the role of a mediator. The then foreign minister, the Namibian foreign minister, issued a statement to say that whatever comes of the negotiations between the German government and the affected Herero and Nama communities would be tabled in parliament and be adopted through those channels. But there is much frustration because the Namibian government departed wholly from that resolution and instead usurped the agency of the Herero and Nama people and engaged directly with the Germans. Thulani, it's really unclear what the nature of this money is. It's quite interesting to hear the German foreign minister say that this closes the chapter of a dark history between the two nations. It doesn't, because people have been asking for reparations for years, and they're still looking for those reparations. It's unclear how this money was arrived at. It's unclear what considerations were taken into account. It's unclear what it's for.
Just draw a line for us there, Advocate, between the events of the start of the 20th century, the end of the 19th century, start of the 20th century, and where we are today, because there are many people who are of German descent, who are German-speaking in Namibia even today, but also there have been these issues around the legacy of the displacement of people, as a historical legacy of the Herero and the Nama people. To what extent are we able to draw a line between those events in the past and what we are seeing now? By
draw a line, do you mean how do we divorce the two?
No. I mean, what evidence do we see of this, of the legacy of what happened in the past?
So, I will tell you briefly what led to the genocide. When the Germans arrived in Namibia, the Herero people and the Nama people were landowners, and they were cattle owners. So they sought to first negotiate the confiscation of these, and the Herero said no. Then came an extermination order. I'm summarizing hectically. But then came an extermination order in 1904 from Germany to say, look, since the Herero people and the Nama people don't want to give up land and they don't want to give up their livestock, kill all of them. Nobody should remain in the country. Take their land, take their livestock, kill them, drive them out. They can go to Botswana, they can go to Angola, they can go to Southern Africa. Just get rid of them, and they are not people. So the dispossession of both land and livestock is the consequences of it are quite prevalent in present-day Namibia. When one travels to the area that are predominantly inhabited by the Herero people, which is where I'm from, it's just, the lands are not arable, it's a desert, and it's cramped, and it's just in poor conditions. It's not the prime lands. But when one looks at the lands that were occupied by these peoples, it's the more arable lands, it's more fertile. The livestock were taken, so that forced people into poverty. In the early 2000s, some of the Herero people that fled to Botswana returned to Namibia because they said they were struggling with poverty, and they wanted to return to the land, but there is no land to return to. So the answer to your question, Tulani, is that the parallels are still very much alive today. What you're actually asking me throws into focus a question that I think a lot of people are not talking about, and it is, in present-day Namibia, what is the role of the German-speaking Namibians? It's all well and good to say that Germany needs to issue reparations, but the German-speaking Namibians at present moment continue to benefit from what happened at the turn of the 20th century. And the question is really, what is their role? How do they participate in this? Also towards the enterprise of reconciliation.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate your insights.